This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, please visit ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page. Well, welcome back to another episode of More About Birth, episode 14. I'm here with our hosts, Shannon Bennett and Angie Henson. And ladies, what do you have for us today?
Hi.
Howdy.
Long time no see, Angie.
Yeah, like
Angie's never around
8 hours.
anymore. I saw her yesterday.
Yeah, she was here yesterday.
No, Angie's working on her application.
I know. I watched her. I actually got a front row seat to her actually working on her question. What's it called? It's like a
Protocols.
Practice
protocols.
And you know what? I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you. You didn't seem stressed at all. You seemed relaxed. And so something's changing. Something's changing. What's changing
She's
with you?
feeling the midwife gene.
No, I'm just getting better at
faking it.
acting.
Acting. Oh, wow. You were acting for me yesterday off camera? That's hilarious.
Man. Hey, we have an interesting topic today. So we're talking about perineums, guys.
Perineums.
Because everybody knows what those are, right?
Is that like from
Everybody has one.
Is that like from the Star Trek series or something? A perineum?
No.
No.
So technically the perineum is the area of skin on your nether regions that is between the birth canal opening and Uranus. That is from Star Wars.
That's for Star Wars. That's
That is
where
from
I
Star
got that.
Wars.
You must
Wait
have.
a minute.
Uranus.
And where is it on the men?
Kind of below the scrotum to Uranus. It's just that little piece of skin area that we all have. Only the guys is kind of worthless. Ours.
Wait a minute. That's not true.
Ours is really important because it has to stretch to let babies out. So you want to stay tuned because we are talking about perineums today.
Yeah.
And it's going to get pretty good.
And it wasn't our idea, actually. We asked a mama. We asked a client because we needed some ideas. And
Like, what do you want to hear?
yeah.
So-
Speaking of, we would love to hear more from you guys
Yes, email
about
us
topics.
at the website nc-midwifery.com and let us know what you want to hear about and we'll
Yep.
talk about it because we like to talk.
Or we'll try anyways, you know?
So perineum, kind of a big word. Everybody has one. Ours as women is very important.
Yeah, and I think it's probably one of the biggest fears that people have about labor, too.
It is.
It's kind of a universal thing. Like, I'd like to not tear.
Yeah.
How do I not tear?
In birth class, when we say, is there anything you guys are concerned about that you want us to talk about? It comes up every class.
Yeah.
But isn't that also
What
true that
about
they
tear?
don't want to talk
What
about
about tearing? Yeah.
That's true. Not everybody wants to ask,
Yeah.
but pretty much everybody's concerned.
So there are some risk factors to who's going to tear, potentially more so than the average mama. That was kind of funny.
it? More than the average mama?
More than the average mama. So a first-time mom is a little bit more apt to tear just because her perineum has not ever stretched and pushed a baby out before. Doesn't mean you're going to. We have lots of mamas that don't tear. In fact, what would you say our tear rate is? Anything that would need sutured?
Oh,
Less
it's
than-
very small.
Less than 20%?
I was going to say less than 15 was a number that came to my mind.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that later, you know, kind of the modern philosophy about to suture, not suture, you know, minimal tearing. But so risk factors. I think the hugest risk factor is a crummy diet with not good fats like avocado, coconut oil, almond oil, just good, healthy,
Fish
natural
oil.
fats. Yes, fish oil supplements, good hydration. We all know what our skin looks like when we're not good and hydrated. It's dry. It doesn't stretch well.
Yeah, it's not supple.
It's skin just like everywhere else. Supplements. I see a lot of people, they'll just go to Walmart or even Costco and just buy a generic prenatal vitamin.
Mm-hmm.
You're wasting your money
Mm-hmm.
because most of these generic prenatal vitamins that are hard-coated, they do not dissolve. You can put them in a glass of water and 3 days later, they'll probably still be whole. So how much of that do you think your
Yikes.
body's actually absorbing? If you want to do something good for yourself, invest in a really good prenatal vitamin.
Yeah.
A natural whole foods vitamin, a liquid, something that your body can actually absorb.
Mm-hmm.
So what about positioning, Angie? Position of baby, position of mama. How can that be a risk factor?
Well, that interlaps with what I was going to say later. So,
Well, then we'll just save it for later. I was thinking about nuchal arms, and if you don't know what a nuchal arm is, your baby comes out like this. Its hands behind its head or around its neck or the hands up by the head. That creates a larger diameter. And clearly a larger diameter coming through is going to be more of a risk than just the head.
yeah. And a lot of people are worried about big babies that are going to cause you to tear.
I
And
was going to bring that up.
the
Yeah, good
arm
point.
kind of reminds me of that because it's actually smaller babies that we find have more
Yep.
room to get those hands up,
Mhm.
and that snags the skin on the way
Catch
out.
you with the elbow on the way out.
Yeah.
And big babies. People are like, oh my word, my baby's going to be 9 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to tear. You know what? Those are the people that don't tear if they birth that baby's head slowly.
Yep.
Because it's this nice round head and
Yeah.
it stretches everything evenly really slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about size of baby. It's more about positioning.
Yep.
And that is a whole nother podcast that we could do
Yeah.
is, fetal positioning because it's just, it affects so many things. So let's just recap this real quick. And then Angie's going to tell us some things we can actually do to prevent some of this. So risk factors are being a first-time mom, poor diet, hydration, nutrition, not having good fats, baby's position, mom's position while pushing, how long you push. Size of baby, not so much. An instrument delivery, so forceps vacuum extractor, having an epidural and not being able to feel the sensation of pushing.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, women of Asian descent have a greater risk factor of tearing during labor for whatever reason. I'd like to research that.
That wasn't
some more.
one that I knew.
Yeah, I didn't either. And then genetics can play into that a little bit too. Like if you just have really poor skin integrity and it kind of runs in the family.
Yeah.
So Angie's got some great things to talk to us about that we can do ahead of time.
Yeah, so I kind of broke this up into two parts, like things you can do ahead of time before labor to help prevent tears, and then things you can do during labor. So I wrote down a bunch of B's.
Bees.
Bees, yep, bees.
Like bzzz,
yeah,
bumblebees.
no, like things to be, things
Oh,
to do.
okay.
So the first
Got
one
it.
I thought of was be informed. And I know that we talk about this all the time, but
important.
it's so important. It's huge. Study, listening to birth stories, what worked for other people. I think the more that you can wrap your head around what that sensation is going to be and what works and what helps, being informed and prepared really helps that moment go so much smoother because you have things to pull from in that intense moment. You have things to fall back on and
Just
rely
knowing
on.
it's normal what you're feeling.
Yeah. And the more you put in your memory bank of information about what will help, the more you'll have to pull from in that moment. So,
That's good.
we talk about in the childbirth class that fear equals tension. Tension is the exact thing you do not want in that perineum. It needs to be relaxed and supple and ready to stretch nicely. And any kind of fear or stress
Definitely.
is just going to totally undermine that. So anything that you can do to be relaxed, which is the second B, be relaxed. Plan ahead of time for your atmosphere.
Yes,
that-
atmosphere is big.
It's huge. That includes guests at your birth. It includes where you're giving birth. Yeah, just minimizing your stress, maximizing relaxation. So thinking about that ahead of time. Along with being informed, I think, is being prepared. Having somebody that's going to help coach you through those moments.
This will go perfectly with our helping them walk through creating a birth plan.
Yeah, which is coming up, guys.
Awesome.
That's going to be a fun one. But, having like cue cards that either you're going to read yourself or you're going to have somebody else read to you. Because those,
Was that an earthquake?
there's our earthquake again. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
Seriously, they're doing some construction out behind my house, and it is literally rattling the whole house. Like, I can feel my buns vibrating right now.
If you can feel it through the screen, it's not like the end of the world. It's just
It's actually, if you sit on the right piece of furniture, it's very relaxing.
Free vibrating
built-in
chair.
massage.
How are those bar stools right now? So
Oh my goodness.
I told
Okay.
you my buns were vibrating a minute ago.
we had to take things off the wall, literally.
Seriously.
Yeah, anyway.
They were rattling.
So
Sorry, Angie. Go for it.
shout out to you guys from California. We feel your pain.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so just having a plan to remind yourself of what to do when the time comes, because, I've had a few babies, you've had babies. That's an intense moment, especially the first time or the first couple times. It's just not something you feel
And
on
as-
a daily basis.
As Ginger used to say, there's a devil woman in your head going, just push.
Just push the baby out. Yes.
But that's not what you want
not
to
what
do.
you want to do. So, again, the more tools you have in your belt to make the most of that moment and not just feel totally out of control, the better off you're going to be. So another one that's really huge that you can do prenatally is be healthy.
Yes.
So tell us, Shannon, a little bit about what that means.
Diet is everything. So when you're pregnant, your body creates hormones that actually help your skin to be more elastic, to stretch and be more supple. You can improve on that by your diet.
Yeah.
And we always talk about this, but eat real food. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, good fats, nuts and seeds.
So what's an
Beans,
example of
legumes.
non-real food?
Donuts,
Rice-a-roni.
Pizza.
Twizzlers,
Oh, okay.
Mountain Dew.
Keith loves Twizzlers.
I do. I haven't had a
Wah,
Twizzler.
wah.
I haven't had a Twizzler in a long time because we keep using the D word here in our podcast.
Diet.
The diet word in our podcast. I apologize to those of you people like me who all of a sudden all of your guard goes up.
He's feeling the shame.
I'm feeling the shame.
Yeah, and the muffin top.
No, but it's so important, you guys, not for the health of the whole pregnancy, but
Yes.
for this moment of to
Yes.
tear or not to tear.
Yeah, there you go.
Cutting out the sugars is huge.
Oh, sugar, yeah. Pre-packaged food like hamburger helper. There's so much sodium and garbage and added. There's white flour. I mean, just eat real food. Don't eat food that's been taken and reorganized and reconfigured and then smushed back together into something else. Just eat food.
So is that months before they actually have the baby, or what's the
entire
Whole pregnancy.
your life. Yeah, just
Yeah.
your life in general.
Can you give us a list of healthy fats?
So avocados, avocado oil, coconut oil. We joke in prenatals, coconut oil is to the body like WD-40 and duct tape is in the real world, because it just helps everything.
Yeah.
In fact, you can even rub coconut oil on your perineum during pregnancy
Yeah.
to help it be more supple and
Yeah.
healthy. It's got great antimicrobial, antibacterial properties. It's just good stuff. So fish oil supplements. You want to stay away from like trans fats and garbage things like sunflower oil, Crisco, fake butter. Even butter's good for you
Yeah.
in pregnancy.
Yeah.
Real butter, especially grass fed.
Yep.
Boy, I'm getting convicted even talking about
I know.
this.
Wow.
I'm
I've
thinking
been eating so bad lately. So I need to practice what I preach.
Wow.
Easter eggs.
So baby, look into the camera and apologize to your audience for being such a poor
sorry.
example.
Hypocrite.
Sorry, I'm not a good example lately.
But you're not having a baby, so you're off the hook.
But I'm delivering babies and I need to be in good shape. So supplements really are key. Don't buy garbage supplements. If you're going to spend some money on good good supplements, like whole food supplements,
Yeah.
liquid supplements, herbal supplements that are going to feed you. In fact, there's this new trend right now, and honestly, I'm seeing less bleeding and more stretching. Mamas are taking beef liver capsules.
Beef
That was a new one to
Liver
me. I have to be honest.
capsules? What's
Me
that
too.
for?
I mean, liver is like a filtering organ, so gross, but apparently it's full of all kinds of nutrition.
Well, you know, back in the day, they used to consume more of the whole animal. And we don't do that anymore, but apparently it's really good for you. Kind of like
Organ
the
meat's
bone
good for
broth
you.
concept.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yes. So let's talk for a second because you touched on it about the perineal massage controversy because you'll see it just, you know, no
Yep.
pun intended, you'll see it split just about down the middle. 50-50 of people that
Funny.
people that think that this is the go-to thing that you should be doing to prevent tears and people that say it's really here nor there, it's not going to help.
Sorry, I'm very distracted. My chair is vibrating again.
I know. So our audience can picture this. We have this gigantic equipment right behind our fence, putting in a pathway.
It's just
And so, we actually
shaking.
on our Facebook group, we actually have people asking, "Do they take a break so I can put the kids down for a nap?"
The whole house is
That's how
shaking.
bad it is. So anyway,
So, perineal massage. I had an episiotomy, my first birth and my second, like 30 some years ago. The cool thing is, you guys, is this is not common practice anymore. Episiotomies are more rare now than they used to be, just pretty standard.
and for our listeners that don't know what that is, that's like pre-work.
Thank you, Keith.
That's pre-work, right?
The perineal massage?
No,
The
episiotomy, that would be
The
to keep.
episiotomy was actually taking scissors and cutting the perineum so that it doesn't tear. Okay, let's shove you so you fall down the stairs.
Wow.
So that you don't slip and fall
So
down
you
the
don't
stairs
trip?
potentially.
So how do you feel about that now?
That's how I feel about
Mrs.
that because
Mrs.
it
What
creates
do
scar
is the word
tissue.
for twice it happened to you? Yeah.
it creates scar tissue. So the third time, I was determined that this was not going to happen again. I did perineal massage. I really don't know that it did anything, but I think in my mind, I felt like it was going to help. And so that helped me be more confident
Yes.
birthing my baby. And I
Yeah.
didn't tear that time.
Wow.
Woo!
I didn't. But
Celebrate.
something we'll talk about later on was pushing the baby out slowly and some
Yeah.
things we can do. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that later. But what did you ask me?
To massage
Or not,
Not
to
to
massage.
massage.
Okay, so I looked it up on evidence-based birth last night because I thought, previous information said, we don't really know.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd look up something more current, and they still don't really know.
Yeah.
It's kind of yes,
I see-
no, maybe.
I see more midwives saying that it doesn't really make a difference. And I see more medical providers saying that, go ahead and do it. So
It can't really hurt anything unless you're just aggressive with your tissue and cause it to swell.
yeah.
But my biggie is fiddling.
Yeah.
So when you're in labor, if your provider is fiddling, they're down there stretching, fiddling, tell them to knock it off because
Yeah.
all that's going to do is cause swelling, and swollen tissue will tear easier.
Yeah. So I think bottom line is don't feel like stressed or compelled to do perineal massage. If you really want to, I don't think it's going to hurt. I personally think that just as helpful or even more so would be just applying and rubbing in some like coconut oil with some essential oils that are good for the skin
Yep.
and not, skipping
What
the
are some
massage part.
essential oils? I know lavender can be a good one. Diluted, of course. You don't want to put any essential oil
Yeah.
on your perineum undiluted. You will be sorry.
Yeah, frankincense I know is the big go-to.
Okay.
But everyone's going to have a different opinion on other ones that you could add in.
Yeah,
There's,
you can look that up.
rose is really good one for the skin.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the beef on massage.
So are you giving it a 40, 60, 30,
I 50-50.
70, 50, 50. Wow. So you're really.
I tend to
don't
be
even-
more on the side of not recommending
This is
it.
the difference between Angie and I.
Which
She's
is
like
great.
more
Which is great.
granola.
So in all fairness to our audience, so Angie, would you give it any kind of, I mean, would you, if you were having another baby, would you even consider it on
I
your
would
radar?
not. I
Okay.
would tell people, like in Shannon's case, if it makes a difference for you mentally and helps you feel like you're
Right.
doing something productive, go for it.
Right.
But I'm not going to recommend it to anybody unless they bring it up.
Okay. There you go. You have it.
That's
They've
my take
spoken.
Oh,
That's my take. Let's talk about Kegels, because I think this is one of the very helpful things that people can do to feel empowered and to feel
Well,
like they're doing something.
and exercise in general.
Yeah.
So with Kegels, my main thing is know what your body feels like tense
Yep.
by doing a Kegel so that you know what it feels like relaxed, because the goal is to stay relaxed. And also, it does increase blood flow.
Yeah. And also, guys, muscles that stretch well are muscles that are in shape well, which sometimes that's kind of counterintuitive. We don't always think about it that way. But the more in shape and the more toned the perineum is, the better it's going to stretch.
And I think anybody who has done sports ever understands the value of stretching, because you're going to tear a muscle or all that stuff. So it has to apply to having a baby to get yourself in shape, because your body's going to be going through this
Yeah.
expansion. So
You tighten the perineal floor, you know what it feels like tense, and then you relax it, and you
Yep.
know what it feels like relaxed, so that during labor, you know how to relax it.
Yeah. And honestly, I would say the majority of people are not mentally well connected with those muscles. It takes
No.
practice, it takes intentionality for your brain to even make that mind-body connection of like, how do I do this?
I think this younger generation, like the 20s and early 30s, are more in touch than the women. Some of the women we deal with that are in their late 30s, early 40s.
like maybe it's catching on.
Yeah.
well, one of the
I
things
think
we
it
talked
is.
about, you have more issues with first-time moms because they're just generally less aware of what's about to take place. And if you've already had a baby, you kind of already know. So there's that you have a certain amount of comfortability with familiarity, so you're saying there's things that they could actually do to start getting more familiar with the muscles and with some of the things you're going to go through.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
Yep.
that's good. That's part of the powerful part of this
Yeah.
podcast, to educating them. So where would they go to figure out how to do a Kegel exercise if they don't know?
There's all kinds of instruction online. There's even cartoony little videos on YouTube and for perineal massage and, sorry, Angie, and doing Kegels. Even squats are great just for helping stretch the perineal floor.
So check out our podcast page, and we'll have some kind of link there to a website
Oh,
where
are
they
you
can
gonna
go
put
do
one up?
research. Yeah, I'll put
He's
one up.
going to do research.
He's going to do his perineal research.
Yeah, because I'm clueless of
Oh
how to
my
do a
goodness.
Kegel.
Okay, so do your Kegels. The next thing.
Kegel? How do you say it?
Kegel,
Okay.
Kegels.
tomato,
Kegel.
tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really quickly, these last couple prenatal tips. Shannon already touched on this. Avoid an episiotomy. And that could be a podcast unto itself. Maybe we will do that sometime. But do your research, and especially know where your care provider stands on this. Ask them, what are your stats on episiotomies? And if they won't answer you or can't give you a stat,
Find a new one.
find a new provider. Be concerned about that. They should be able to
Right.
give you an answer.
So if you had a physician or a midwife, should you say that you don't want one? Should they deny it, or is that still a procedure that?
Well,
is-
here's the deal. How often are they really necessary? So I've cut maybe 2 episiotomies in all the years I've been doing midwifery.
And that's how many births?
Over 500?
Oh, yeah, getting closer
Okay,
to
so but it
600 now.
still could be a necessity in a.
So the reason that I had to do it, it was a true necessity. Baby's heart rate was tanking, and these 2 women had perineal tissue like cow leather. It literally was so tough.
wasn't stretching
It
at all.
would not stretch.
Okay.
And as soon as I just did a very tiny snip, the baby shot out. So that was taking that baby's life and
Right.
keeping it safe.
Yeah. But that's
Although
incredible.
it hurt me terribly to do
Oh,
it.
I'm sure. But
hurt
that's
me terribly.
incredible statistics.
Right.
And so I think you should be able to ask and get a real answer.
Absolutely. So you're saying that, yeah. So statistically, even if they did all these things we're talking about, they probably wouldn't have been those two people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's should be rare that it's needed. The other thing is plan a water birth.
Yeah.
Water birth has great statistics on preventing perineal tears, which is like,
You know
yay,
how
right?
plump and hydrated you feel after swimming all day or going in the hot tub or whatever? Imagine being in a birth pool.
I think when we do
Your
an actual
skin is
podcast
plump
again
and-
on water birth, we should do it from the hot tub.
I'm game.
It'll be the
Angie
most-
might
it'll be
bite.
the-
Maybe from like here.
Yeah,
up.
we'll shoot from the,
the eyes
Yeah,
up.
we'll do the floating head shot for that podcast.
my
So you may
goodness.
want to only listen to that one, not watch it on YouTube.
wow.
Brother. Yeah, just hot compresses too are great during pushing. And
Yep, if you're having a land birth.
besides making the tissue more supple, it helps you relax
Yep.
because it's warm and you have a target to push towards.
Yep.
That nice warm feeling.
Yep. Okay, so those are. Oh, there's one more. I know this is getting long on the prenatal part, but
We're covering a lot of other things though.
I just have to mention, if you have any particular fears related to the labor or the birth, deal with those ahead of
Yes.
time, because again, the fear equals tension. And then along with that, guys, if you have any kind of history of abuse, and you know that, work through that really, really well prenatally. Take the time to dig into that, because if you don't, it
It can come up during labor and
it
really
can in a really big way.
impede things.
Yeah, I mean, it can actually
Yeah.
make or break your labor, and definitely it can make or break whether you tear or not, because there's going to be so much emotion and tension in that moment with those strong sensations. So it's not like the funnest topic, but really, I think
It's
it could
important.
be very helpful.
So talk to your medical provider, see a counselor. What would you recommend?
All of the
All
above.
the above, okay.
Hopefully, your care
Even-
provider knows how to talk about that
Talk
and
to your
handle it.
partner, even a good friend.
Yeah.
Just talk about it. And
So if they're going to
to
have a doula, they could talk to their doula.
Yes, a
Yeah.
doula
If
would
they're
be
just going to
great
have a
person.
support person there that they really, really trust, they could talk to them, but probably
Yeah.
talk to your midwife or talk to your
Yes,
counselor.
but if you're not getting the help that you need, find a counselor. Find somebody that you can trust.
But all in, the midwife should know, right, that there's some issues.
We actually in prenatals at, I don't know, around what, week 34, ask them, is there anything
Awesome.
that we need to talk about? Any fear or any tension about the upcoming birth that we need to work through?
Right.
Although I would just, again, really encourage you guys to be honest with your care providers. I don't know that we always get a true answer.
I have had mamas that did not disclose abuse, and it has come up during the labor.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 And
So
then, you're caught off guard and you don't always.
the
know
ultimate
how to
goal,
help
as
them.
you say, your theme is you want them to have what kind of birth?
A healthy birth.
And a birth of a lifetime, right?
Once in a lifetime
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, and so you don't want anything to get in that way. So if you know something, it may be difficult to talk about. I mean, we've had things that, just difficult to talk about: family,
Yep.
work situations, even going through the process of becoming a midwife and the challenges all the time. But if you don't talk about it, I'm all for getting it out in the
dig
open
in,
and digging.
stir
Stir
it
it
out.
up. Get
Yep.
it out.
Okay, so switching gears, let's talk about what you can actually do during the labor and birthing of this baby to prevent tears.
I'm excited about this part.
Yes. So just like prenatally, stay hydrated and stay nourished. Again, you don't want to, get dehydrated and 12 hours later your skin is starting to like wrinkle and not be
It's not
helpful.
supple.
And that's coming from the woman that has a giant bottle of water on the table. Stay hydrated.
Angie always has like three
Sticking
or
out.
four things: a coffee, a water, a protein drink.
She stays
we've
hydrated.
talked about this before, guys.
Stay hydrated.
Okay, Shannon, tell us about choosing a good position for birth. Why in the world can this
Position
help?
is everything. So the two crummiest positions are flat on your back with your knees back to your nose in stirrups, which thankfully hospitals are getting great about this, just letting you kind of get in a better position and more upright. So upright positions. And actually the positions that is instinctual to each particular mom is the best position for her.
Yeah.
And I would say 80% of the time, if we just watch a mom do her thing, she will end up like leaning forward over something or on her hands and knees to deliver
Yep.
almost all the time. And that honestly is the best position. The position that I detest the most is the full squat with your legs wide out.
Yeah.
That position can be great for bringing your baby down, especially for
Yes.
first-time moms.
Yep.
I don't like it for actually birthing the head because you already have the perineum stretched so tight
Yep.
that it tears much easier. It's kind of like a tight piece of fabric, you know. It's going to tear less if it has a little bit of give.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah. So that's the one I really don't like.
Yep. But hands and knees is great. Forward leaning is great.
Just upright.
Yeah, being upright and
Yeah.
not being too
Upright.
too stretched
Yeah.
there. And along with that, thinking about positioning, skipping the epidural, because the epidural limits you. It really almost puts you in one position by necessity.
Well, that and you can't feel as well, which
Yep.
I'm really thankful. So the hospitals now are really doing great with doing a lighter epidural. So they'll back it off during pushing so that
Yes.
you can feel the pushing.
And
so
you
that
can
you do have a
request
little
that.
bit more control. And I've had moms that we've transported that got an epidural and it was so light that they literally were able to be up on their hands and knees. So it's possible
Yeah.
to get that pain relief and still be able to move around.
Yeah. Which
So
is
you're saying the
wonderful.
epidural actually affects their mobility, their ability
If
to
it's a
stand
real
up.
heavy epidural, then you can't
Okay.
get in any other position, but
And you can
reclining.
request less right now with the hospitals.
Most hospitals can work with you on that. Yeah,
Awesome. But it's best
Great.
not to
You-
do it
you
at all.
Still get some pain relief,
Right? It's best not to do it all.
It depends. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can't relax, and I've seen this too. We've had first time moms at home that just couldn't push their baby out because
Yeah.
there was such tension and fear in the
Right.
perineal area.
Yep.
We go to the hospital, we get an epidural, and they can't feel what's going on down there. They relax and out pops the baby.
Yeah.
So there's
There's a place for it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the biggest thing, guys, really the gold standard here for not tearing is birthing the head slowly.
Yes, it is.
And there are lots of subcategories underneath this. But having a coach that's going to know what to do and how to help you and staying present with your coach during this time. So a good knowledgeable care provider is going to walk you through this. They're going to be able to see
Somebody to
what's
talk you through
happening.
it.
We can tell when things are stretching nicely.
Or even, I love it when moms instinctually put their hand down to feel their
Yes.
baby's head, because then not only can they feel what's going on inside with pressure,
Yes.
they can feel what's going on outside. And there's something mental about feeling like you're protecting your own perineum.
Oh, yeah.
So again, I don't like fiddling,
Yeah.
especially with a water birth. I really like that head
Hands
just to
off.
come out slowly. And I tell people, well, we tell them in childbirth class, we have them actually put their fingers in their mouth and just pull until
Yeah.
it stretches to feel that tingly stretch feeling. I'm not going to do it now because it looks kind of ridiculous, but you can do it at home. So
Shannon.
that stretchy feeling is what you're going to feel when your perineum starts to stretch. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And if I took my fingers and just yanked on my lips sideways, they would crack at the edges and tear.
Yeah.
But if I
Youch.
pull it a little and then I pull it just a little more,
Yep.
just a little more, your skin will stretch.
Yep.
Those hormones make it stretchy.
Yep. And
So slow.
slow. And again, that's really the key. That's where all the preparation goes into. That's where having a good coach comes into play, because your natural urge is to get that baby out.
Oh,
and
yeah,
get
you're
it
just
out
like-
fast.
It's a tremendous pressure and you just want to be done.
Yeah. And it's even honestly kind of a natural thing to
just blow that baby.
Yeah, it is, because
through.
that's what
Yeah.
it feels like you should do,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the opposite. And it's like holding back a
Well-
freight train, but if you can do it, it will pay off big
The
time.
other really cool thing is that when your baby comes down, the head will come down and stretch a little, and then between contractions, it slips back up. and it'll come down and stretch a little, and it just millimeter by millimeter stretches things. So if you let your body do what it's intended to naturally, and you don't start pushing before you have that natural urge,
Yep.
then your body knows what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And honestly, if mama is present and paying attention to what her body's doing, she's the very best coach on this.
Yeah.
Now, if you're super scared or stressed or just checked out, then that may not be the case. But if you're present and you feel like you're able to listen to your body, mom's going to know even better than the midwife what to do.
I'm chuckling because I'm thinking about a recent birth we did. This mom was something else. It was her third baby, and we got there, and she was laboring pretty good, but still fairly comfortable. She got in the birth pool, got onto her hands and knees, and she goes, oh, pushing. In a few minutes, she says, oh, crowning. A couple seconds later, she goes, heads out. And I'm like, what am I here
That's
for?
great. I love it.
Is this the first time, Mom?
No, it was her third baby.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
I'm like, wow, this is great.
She's a pro.
You know what we do a lot that people can do too is buy yourself some arnica, homeopathic arnica.
Yep.
And when you're ready to push, take that arnica. It
Yep.
prevents trauma, bruising, swelling.
Yep.
It even can prevent bleeding.
Yep. And if you're
That's good
having
stuff.
a land birth, you can get some arnica oil
Yes.
and put it on. Any kind of oil or lubrication is great for helping that stretching process for a land birth.
Disclaimer though, it will say on the bottle of arnica oil not to put it on mucous membranes, which the perineal area has a lot of mucous membrane right inside. So you can dilute it a little bit with a carrier oil. Like the almond oil, coconut oil.
Yep. So the other great tip for birthing the head slowly is the blowing. And
Yes.
you'll hear your coach probably at some point saying, that's blow.
Or
The raspberries, that's the Ina
Yeah.
May Gaskin thing. That's the best. Blowing raspberries. It
Yep.
really helps take the pressure
Ginger
off
calls
of
it
the
horse
bottom.
lips.
Yes.
Horse lips.
Yes. So that's a great tip. That's huge. The other thing you can do is the tiny little pushes between contractions.
Yes.
If your care provider says to go ahead and do that, you don't want to wear yourself out or waste your energy.
Right.
But if the baby's just right there and really crowning.
Just help stretch things really carefully. I had a lady one time that literally, it was 20 minutes she crowned. This baby's heart
Wow.
rate was great. It was like 140s the whole time. And this
That's
baby's
amazing.
head, it just stretched. It was, I mean, I wish I could have had a video of it because it would be such a great teaching tool. Tiny little bit, like millimeter by millimeter,
Wow.
and then stretched, not a tear. If she had just pushed that baby through, she would have tore.
Yeah. That's amazing. The other thing is allowing baby to turn on their own. So
Yes.
once the baby's head is out, taking a natural hands-off approach, not if you can avoid it and there aren't any issues,
If baby's
not doing
happy,
jiggling.
Because, the head will come out and it will sit there, usually for a contraction, a full contraction, sometimes even two. Baby's heart rate's good. You just wait and that baby will rotate. If you try and push that baby out before the rotation, you're liable to get the shoulder stuck.
Yeah, and
it's all
more
about
fiddling with those tissues. They need to just
Yep.
be left alone.
It's all about whether baby's happy, mama's doing well. If everybody's good, let your body do its natural thing.
Yeah.
Even the baby knows, right?
And the baby knows.
They
That's
know
great.
how to maneuver through the birth
They
canal.
amazing.
do. And so again, just to harken back to, the beginning of the podcast, relax. It really is the biggest piece of this. And remembering what's normal. Like Shannon said, when you start feeling that stretching sensation, having somebody tell
Know
you
that
it's
it's
normal.
normal.
It's
This is
normal.
good.
Just relax. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's strong and it's intense, but try to relax as much as possible. I liked this. I found this last night that Ina May Gaskin said that it's impossible to tear while you're smiling. And I haven't tested that theory, But I can tell you she's done a lot more deliveries than I have. So
Thousands, yeah.
trusting her
So if
expertise
you think,
in that.
so if you think you're gonna tear, right?
Just smile.
Just smile. That's hilarious.
I
I love
haven't
that.
seen anybody pull
I
that
love
off in person, but I'm sure it has been done.
Wow.
So
I've seen a few moms smile during birth. We're going to have to pay attention to whether they have a tear or not.
yeah.
So back to
smile
what you
and
said.
Relax.
Yeah, you said about relaxing. So I think that birth plan podcast is going to be really important for people, especially people
Yeah, I'm
that have.
excited
Yes.
about that. I think we'll just walk them through creating a birth plan and
Yeah.
maybe have some prompts so that they have an idea what might be helpful to
Right.
them, what won't. And
And if they go on our website, if they just register to our email list, you have a free downloadable.
yeah,
They'll
there's
get
a free downloadable birth plan. And maybe
Yeah.
we'll just use that as an outline and just kind of go in depth and help them.
So if you
create a
have
personal birth
subscribed or
plan.
you do subscribe and you didn't get it, it comes to you immediately after you subscribe in an email. So check your junk mail because it's attached and you can download that birth plan. And that's right out of your natural
It's out
pain
of the
relief.
natural pain relief class.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and subscribe, you guys. The more you subscribe, the more it changes, as Keith tells me, the Facebook and the YouTube algorithms, so that more people
Yep.
have a chance to learn new things.
Yeah.
Yep. You're serving your friends the podcast when you
Yeah,
subscribe.
share it with your friends so that they can learn also, and let us know what you guys want to hear about.
Yeah, please. We'd love to touch on the topics that are important to you. And hopefully this one was helpful to you
Yeah.
and you can help, to prepare for a nice, smooth, natural birth, tear-free.
Tear free, it's the goal.
And thank you to our client for suggesting this topic. So hope it was helpful,
Right,
guys.
So I guess we will see you guys next time to talk about birth plans. And yeah.
Yeah. What else have we got coming up? So we've got the birth
Oh.
plan, and because we don't have an exact order yet.
We talked about Angie has a friend who's actually quite hilarious. He's fun.
Well, he has competition because if they haven't seen the Pilates interview,
Yeah, he's right up there with the Pilates
That's
man.
awesome.
In fact, he has his own YouTube channel going.
Oh, yes.
That he'll have to tell us about. But he teaches voice lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you just tell him just real quick the story about his first birth, their first baby that was born.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take away his thunder, so
Just
we'll
a
let him
snippet.
tell about it. But he jumped in and started helping teach a birth class one time. So he's hilarious. It'll be great to have him on. That'll hopefully be coming up sometime soon if we can convince him to actually do it with us. So, and he's gonna talk about breathing in labor, which we have some thoughts about, but we'll talk about it
we've
when
all
we
kind
get
of
there.
gotten away from that.
We
so-
have, but this is kind of a unique approach. It's not the typical Lamaze type thing.
Right.
And actually, it kind of connects nicely to protecting the perineum and staying
does.
relaxed.
It
So
does.
that'll be a nice bridge segue
Okay.
there.
So we'll get that one ready for you too. And please let us know if you have any ideas. So we'll see you guys next time on More About Birth.
Thanks, guys.
well, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, both you listeners and those of you joining us on the video version on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shannon Bennett and Angie Henson, for that great conversation. And we hope to get your ideas at nc-midwifery.com for what conversation you'd like us to have. Until then, this podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, please visit ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page.